research the heck out of whatever you think is going on and have it all in a way that is easy for you to explain to your doctor. If you're going from point A to point Z, back to point B to point N, it's going to be very hard for your doctor to follow that. But if you can have a chronological timeline of events or of symptoms that you have, that will help them. Along that same piece of advice, if your doctor is not listening, get a new one.
Have you ever felt like you knew something was wrong with your body, but no one seemed to believe you? Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered. I'm your host, Lindsay, nurse, health and nutrition coach, body wisdom guide, and author of Healing Beyond the Diagnosis. In today's episode, I'm joined by Sophia Reamsnyder, whose health journey began with painful periods, fertility struggles, and eventually a PCOS diagnosis, but quickly turned into years of mysterious symptoms, repeated hospitalizations, multiple autoimmune diseases, and countless moments of being dismissed by the healthcare system. What I love most about this conversation isn't just the diagnosis, it's the resilience. Sophia shares how she learned how to become her own advocate, research the science, ask better questions, and rebuild trust with her body after years of uncertainty. Whether you're navigating PCOS, autoimmune disease, chronic inflammation, or simply searching for answers that seem impossible to find, this episode is a powerful reminder that you deserve to be heard, your symptoms matter, and your body is always communicating with you. Now, as always, this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Please be sure to consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. Let's get into it. Here is my conversation with Sophia Reamsnyder. So you had, you obviously you have twins now.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of, what was that experience like? Was there anything after, like when you started having, the autoimmune issues and even like after your pregnancy and everything that you were finding reproductive wise or residual wise from any of that?
No, really, it was kind of a strange shift, and it's something that I talked to my OB about. Is after I had my twins, there was a period in time where I didn't have any migraines, and it was a hormonal shift,
Okay.
and it wasn't until um, almost, I would say, probably about 10 years later that I had any kind of, I guess you could say, unusual period symptoms. Not that any of them are usual or typical, but I had an instance of, like, I passed a really, really large clot. It was like softball size. But
Wow.
then it didn't happen again for a while, but then it did happen again. And I went to a new female doctor, and it started on the process of medications and no real resolution. And so I would have these instances of bleeding, bleeding, bleeding. It would stop. I never really had a true period over like the
Mm.
course of 6 years. It was all just kind of wacky. And then when the autoimmune stuff started, I actually didn't have a period for 2 years. And I thought that I was actually going to go through menopause, because I was kind of a little bit like, hooray, it's done, no more of that. And then it came back, and it was a horrible experience. I was actually working on a surprise engagement, and we were almost done with the session, and I just remember this gush, and I was like, did I just piss my pants? Like,
Oh my God.
what is going on
Yeah.
here? And so I excused myself to the porta potty. And when I got in there, it was a crime scene. I mean, there was just so much blood. And
Oh my
thankfully, I
gosh.
was wearing black leggings. And so I was able to go out and kind of finish the session. And so I made a follow-up appointment with the doctor, and they're like, well, maybe you need to try ablation or birth control or an IUD. And I'm like, listen, I'm not having any more kids. Like, what else can we do to make this more
Mhm.
permanent? I don't want to have to. My big fear was I have all this travel for work that one of these creepy things that happens to me is going to happen while I'm there.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what happened. I had like a really bad clotting, and it was like fistfuls of clots while I was at an airport. And I just remember laying on the bathroom ground thinking, gross, first of all, because I'm
Yeah.
laying on an airport
That
floor.
was my first thought too.
But then I was like, oh my God, am I going to bleed to death here? Like, what is going to happen? And that was actually just in this past September. And when I got back, I went to my PCP because she is now my hero. When I tell her something wrong and I tell her who I want to see, she's like, let's do it.
Mhm.
Well, I came to her this time with a little bit of a different request. I was like, who would you recommend that I go to see for a female doctor? Like, who's going to listen to me? She has lots of people that she could refer to. And so she referred me to the specialist, and I had some imaging done. And I go in to see the specialist during the first appointment, and she turns to me and she's like, listen, I don't agree with the report on your scans. She's like, you have, and I can't say it properly, amyloidosis, the opposite of endometriosis. Um,
Oh,
and she's like, you can see it here. You can clearly see it on this scan. And they said that there's nothing wrong with you. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Thank you for standing up for me.
yeah.
And so she gave me all my options. And I said to her, in your honest opinion, if you were me, what would you do? And without hesitation, she's like, I would take it out. I was like, cool, let's do it. Because again, I went in there
Mhm.
knowing what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's the outcome that I wanted. And so she was like, okay, let's get you on the schedule. And she's like, but before that, I really think that we should do, and I'm going to use her words, a deep dive into your cervix to make sure that there's no kind of cancer that would
Mm.
cause like an even more painful procedure later on. And I was like, okay, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
That's workable. The procedure itself was, again, that medical enigma thing. They used lidocaine to numb me up down there, except it like numbed my brain and my face and my ears up. And I remember laying there and they're talking, and I'm like, what language are you guys talking
Oh
in
my
right
God.
now? And then they're still talking, and my ears just started to ring like really loud to the point where I couldn't hear anything. And I just look up at them and I'm like, when you guys are done with what you're doing down there, can you please go find my husband because I can't hear anything you're saying?
Oh, oh my gosh.
And it was just a really bad reaction to the lidocaine. And it eventually went away. And then
Yeah.
I had the surgery at the beginning of this year, and I feel phenomenally better. It's out, and I'm not having those issues, and it
Mhm.
feels great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, again, you just, you knew, like you did the research, you were prepared, yeah, for all of it. Even if that was considered like worst case scenario, you were prepared for that. So I love that. Um, what kind of keeps you going now? I mean, yeah, I'm sure, you're what, like 95% in remission or something you want to say?
Yeah, it's something crazy like 95% remission. I still have some issues with the bowel disease that I'm dealing with, but actually my doctor suggested a medication. Again, I did the research beforehand, and it has actually put my psoriatic arthritis completely into remission. And the fact that, again, excuse my language, I'm not shitting my pants every day is a huge step forward. So that's really good. But what keeps me going is honestly it's my family and my work. Um, my my mom committed suicide quite a few years ago. She was very ill, and she was at her breaking point. Um, but I can't imagine leaving my kids in that way. And so no matter how sick I'll get in the future, because right now there's not a cure for anything that I have, it's all preventative measures.
Yeah.
There could be a time in the future where my medication stops working and that I
Mhm.
go into that really bad place again. But even when I was in that place, it was always, I want to see my kids do this. I want to see them do this. Except for now, it's changed from not only do I want to see my kids do this, I want to finish that and I
Mhm.
want to do that. And so that's what keeps me going. The thought of doing all these things and maybe changing the world just a little
Mhm.
bit.
Love it. I mean, we can go a little deeper if you don't mind, but do you think that trauma from, what happened with your mom like affected, or triggered anything in any way?
No, I don't think so because that was like 2 years before the onset of
Oh.
everything. Quite honestly, in my research again,
Mhm.
in my science brain, it was there were some things that I could see in the past, stomach issues, stuff like that. But I never really had joint pain or skin issues. In fact, I was very blessed as a teenager. I didn't have zits, I didn't have pimples, I didn't have anything like that. Um, it was actually, I believe, a combination of the COVID shot, having that ACDF neck surgery, and the heat exhaustion from the beach. It was
Mm.
just like this perfect storm that collected together, and my body was like, well, this is a bomb. Let's explode it. And that's exactly what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. So have you done much research on like the nervous system and the role
I've
that
done a little bit. I'm actually really interested. There has been some research that's come out recently about autoimmune conditions that can be treated by, gosh, what was it that I just saw recently? There was some kind of stem cell research that they're doing. And then I have it all on my phone somewhere, but there's something that they're looking at that could potentially eradicate inflammatory autoimmune diseases. That also ties into, I think it was dementia or Alzheimer's that I was reading about.
Oh, wow.
And so I look into stuff as I see it.
Hmm.
Anytime an idea crosses my mind, or even there's a tickle on Facebook, I'm like, could that be good for me? One of
Hmm.
the things that we had no idea could be so beneficial for the skin condition portion of it is actually vitamin D. And with our harsh winters, well, not this year so much, but usually our harsh cold winters here in Colorado, my psoriasis, I'll have an outbreak. Excuse me. And I found that by going to the tanning booth a couple times a week during the winter time, it will actually stop my skin from progressing to the outbreak stage.
That's interesting. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
And
Uh,
when I spend time in the Mediterranean, I have zero issues.
mm, yeah.
I need to
I,
move there.
I know. And I was gonna say, I'm sure some people could argue like tanning bed, that's bad, blah blah blah. But like, yeah, but I feel like if you know the risks, of risks and benefits of either or, right? I mean, yeah, then you're just making that informed choice. And if it's
Definitely.
if it's helping, it's helping. Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely helping. Well, and the other thing that helps too
Mm.
is red light therapy.
Oh yeah.
However, it will only work on my face because you need the industrial strength, and the one that we have is what you can buy online. And so
Mhm.
it's not mm, it doesn't have enough power to penetrate the thicker skin. So when I have the outbreaks on my eyes and my nose and my face, I will just stick it right in front of our red
Oh
light lamp,
wow. Yeah.
and it clears it up. It really
Yeah.
does.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, I've actually learned a little bit about some of that recently too. Yeah, there's definitely a quality of like just the red light bulbs versus like,
Hmm.
there's panels and just Yeah, it can be a big investment, but I mean, there's also like I know here in Florida, there's places where you can go to,
Oh yeah,
you know, to just go
definitely.
into
Well,
into a
that's
place and
what
do it that way too. Yeah.
Planet Fitness, they have a red light and a tanning, and that's what I do
Hmm.
during the winter time is we up my membership and I utilize that portion during that cold time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Um, so for anybody that's listening that, feels like they are so frustrated with their doctor and they're getting misdiagnosed and not feeling heard, what's one piece of advice what would you tell them?
Um, Research, that is huge. Research the heck out of whatever you think is going on and have it all in a way that is easy for you to explain to your doctor. If you're going from point A to point Z, back to point B to point N, it's going to be very hard for your doctor to follow that. But if you can have a chronological timeline of events or of symptoms that you have, that will help them. Um, Along that same piece of advice, if your doctor is not listening, get a new one. Point blank. If they
Yeah.
are not listening, they are not for you. And a good friend of mine told me once that you are not for everyone. So that means everyone is not for you. It
Yeah.
is okay to switch doctors.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've even had, fellow health coaches that do something very similar to what I do, and I'm like, that's because I may not be everybody's cup of tea,
Mm-hmm.
So like I want people to know, what else is out there. But yeah, you just may not get along with with your doctor. There might be some bad energy there. Like that's okay. And then especially if they're not listening to you on top of it, then yeah, like you said, it's time to move on. I said that before to people, and so I love hearing it from from other people that have lived through it as well. Um, why do you think that, some of these conditions don't get the attention that they need and maybe deserve, PCOS and even just like I don't think I've heard of all these different types of, psoriasis. Like why do you think there isn't much attention on these?
Because they're not as sexy. I know that sounds crazy. And I know it's horrible to say that about stuff like, cancer and, other conditions, but those are the sexy buzzwords. You bring up
Mhm.
guttate psoriasis, and everybody's kind of like, oh, what is that? Is that contagious? Like, you know, people they'll see cancer patients, and yes, they look sick, but not for a second do they think you're contagious.
Mhm.
When you walk in and literally your skin is peeling off your body and it's just kind of sticking out in weird angles, people look at you and they're like, what in the actual? It's
Mhm.
a very, very different, and it is. It's because they're
Yeah.
not as sexy as some of the other ones. And
Yeah.
hopefully, by telling stories like these, other people will not feel so as alone, and it will maybe make them a little bit more attractive.
Yeah. In your research too, did you find it really hard to find the research on certain things versus
Oh,
others?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was very hard to actually tie the psoriasis to the tonsillitis. Um, I had to actually, for my own self to believe my research, I had to find at least 10 articles that said, yes, this is the case. And it was really hard to find those articles that were related to adults.
Mhm.
You'll see that a lot in children, but not a lot in adults. And so that's where it became tricky. I was like, well, I've got the onset, but I'm not a child. So I had to really make sure this is really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they end up confirming the Kawasaki's, did you
Oh
say?
no,
No.
no,
Okay.
because there's no exact diagnostic for it. I had enough of the criteria that they were comfortable
Mhm.
to say that's what it was. And when I wasn't getting better, that's when I was like, this is not what it is, you guys. And that was actually one of the big fights with the insurance company when the doctors wanted to do the IVIG infusions. They were like, she doesn't have enough of the Kawasaki criteria to meet this.
Mm.
But they ended up pushing it through, and it helped. The IVIG helped, but it didn't help. Like I felt a little bit better for like a couple weeks, but not for the amount of time that it should have. And that was a really good indication of this is not what this is.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, as we kind of start wrapping up, if someone's at the very beginning of their journey, probably similar, right? Overwhelmed, confused, just feeling like they're not heard. I mean, if you want to give 3 steps or, 2 steps, what's something they could do right now?
Cry. Get all that useless emotion out so that then you can focus. Cry and then focus your energy on either trying to find answers yourself or trying to find somebody that will help you find answers. Yeah. And that's exactly what I would recommend to anybody. Sitting there those first few months, really not feeling it, not accepting what was going on, I think really kind of delayed the process for me. So get those emotions out.
I love that. Yeah, because we try to just, keep it in, right? I think especially if you have a family, yeah, but you're better off just releasing that. And then, like you said, moving on to what you need to focus on. So how do you approach your health today? I mean, you said, you're still on some of the medications and stuff, right? But, what's different in your approach today with your health?
Well, my approach now is really body first. So I've been, on the weight loss track to really try to lessen a lot of the stress on my body. And it was really this whole mind shift that kind of had to happen 2 years ago when they told me that I had gout, which I was, I can't believe I actually said this to the doctor, but I was like, isn't that some King Henry shit? Because in my mind, I was like, who still gets gout, especially,
Yes.
at my age in this. And so I was completely blown away by that. And it severely impacted how I was eating before. And that goes back to that, oh, I probably wasn't treating my body right. But I had to cut out the processed sugars and a lot of the gluten and a lot of the red meat, and I'll still have that stuff. I'm going to admit it. I will. I am addicted to Coke. Not the sniff kind, the drink kind. I wanted to clarify that there.
Yeah, let's clarify that.
And so that was really the first shift was let's stop thinking about food in that way and let's think about it as like fueling my body and stuff like that. And then I turned that into, okay, what movement does my body need in order to keep moving? And that's been something that we found with the psoriatic arthritis is what's in motion stays in motion. When I'm moving, I don't feel the pain versus when I stop, that's when everything kind of comes back. And so I really try to focus on those two before the doctor. But obviously not having a doctor is never going to be in my cards. I'm always going to have all the ologists on my directory, but we've gotten to the point now where like I'm almost out of my cardiologist office, and that would be amazing. But it's just kind of, weeding out the stuff that doesn't need to be there anymore. And I carry that same thing back to the medications. Every few months, I will take a look at everything and I'll be like, do I really need everything that's in this bag? Is this really doing anything to help my body move forward? And if it's not, I have a serious conversation with my doctor and I'm like, do I really need to be on this anymore? And so it always comes back to body first. And it's been a hard shift, but it's been a good one.
Yeah. I've done an episode with somebody recently. Yes, I mean, very similar, just asking your body like every day, like, what do I need today? So sure, if you like your soda, but like also making sure that you're getting in those nutrients and asking what your body truly needs so you can still enjoy that, because then if not having it is going to stress you out more,
Mm-hmm.
then go for it,
Right.
But, movement. Yeah. I mean, whatever that might be, just kind of checking in with your body daily. And then, yes, doing a big check-in, like you said, with medications and just where everything is at, maybe monthly or quarterly or whatever that looks like for you. So yeah, I love that. What's one truth about healing that most people aren't ready to hear, but maybe they need
Oh,
to?
it's hard. It's really hard. There are still even days where I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, I do not feel good today. And I have to remind myself, but you feel better than a year ago.
Mm.
So everything is hard. You just have to choose your heart.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've carried forward through this is, it hurts to heal, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to wrap it up. Love it. So yeah, I mean, final question is, where can people find you? What are you working on now? If you want to share what you have in the
Yeah.
works, and how can they find you and connect with you?
Absolutely. My company, Reamsnyder Media, we are a boutique production company, and we're on all the social medias. You can find us everywhere. And right now, I'm actually in the query stage for my new book, which I'm really, really excited about, which is about this whole journey and about learning to create through the hard parts of your life. So just because I got sick, it doesn't mean that I stopped my life. And that's what I want to share with people is just because illness may mean an ending to something, it doesn't mean that it's an overall ending to your life. And then we have a few documentaries in post-production about invertebrates like tarantulas and bees, and one about social injustice in Puerto Rico. So that's
Wow.
a very exciting stuff
Oh
coming
my
up for the
gosh.
future.
Yes. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you so, so much for, sharing your story, being vulnerable with us. I think so many listeners just can benefit from hearing, everything you've gone through, and I hope there were some great takeaways. So I do hope they were listening very carefully, especially that last piece about choosing your heart, because I think that just sums it all up. So thank you so, so
Thank you so
much.
much for having me.
I hope today's conversation reminds you that healing isn't always about finding one perfect diagnosis or one perfect doctor. Sometimes it's about persistence. Sometimes it's about asking one more question, getting another opinion, and learning to trust yourself just as much as the experts around you. Sophia shared so many incredible takeaways today, but the one that really stuck with me is this: healing is hard, but you get to choose your hard. You can stay stuck in frustration, or you can take that next step toward understanding your body and advocating for the care you deserve. Whether you're living with PCOS, autoimmune disease, chronic inflammation, or another complex health condition, I hope this episode encourages you to stay curious, keep asking questions, and never stop listening to what your body is trying to tell you. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a review and subscribe so we can continue bringing these conversations to more women around the world. Thank you so much for listening. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next episode of PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, heal, thrive.